Hello everyone and welcome back to All the Mods 7 to the Sky. We've got some exciting stuff coming up today, I think. Some magic mods, some adventuring and exploring, and I think this might also be the day we get our first ATMstar. I think it's gonna happen. I think today's the day. And perhaps a new look as well. But if you've seen the last episode, you know we set up these extra 7 processes. This is crazy. I did do some modifications. In fact, I added some more igneous extruders. This is primarily to handle the 37 million netherite scrap we are still missing and 33 million gold. And we have a similar sort of a setup on the opposite side for uranium. We also, of course, made some modifications to our fission reactor. We're now burning at 220 millibuckets per tick. Added a huge power buffer here in the form of the induction matrix from Mechanism, and built our first Mechanism steam turbine to give us 15 million RF per tick, which mainly has been put into our nuclear waste processing facility over here. And the SPS here is producing us antimatter. In fact, we're now up to 3 pellets. So the first thing we're going to do is get a definitive list of what else we need for this star. Obviously we can't get the emeralds, the netherite or the gold. However, with the exception of 2 items, I think one of those being the glyph of wither from Nouveau. And where was that other one? It's in here somewhere. Oh yeah, for the Oblivion Shard, we need a Snow Queen trophy. We are going to come back to those later on, but I want to use some of this antimatter. And I think it's time today we change outfit out of this Terrasteel armor. I really want to make the mecha suit from Mechanism. This takes a bunch of the components we made over the last few episodes, HDPE, polonium pellets, the induction cells. Oh yeah, and we need a set of unobtainium. Shouldn't be any issue now that we have our phytogenic insulator set up downstairs. I did make a few more seeds between episodes. These have produced us 127 blocks. That's not too bad considering the time they've been set up. So how do we make this? I assume it's from all the way down. So we start with the netherite set. Then we upgrade to all the modium set. Then vibranium. Oh, I made 2 sets of boots. I didn't want to do that. Then the unobtainium set. Look at all these quest pops. And finally, we should be able to request the mecha suit, the chestplate, the helmet, the leggings, and the boots. How do we look? I don't know if I'm a fan of this, honestly. I don't think I like it. Maybe without the helmet, my head's too big for this suit. Obviously, we will need to throw some enchantments on this, probably at least the protection that we had for the Terrasteel set. However, there is also something called the Gravitational Modulating Unit, which does cost 3 antimatter pellets. And the module base, I don't think we've crafted this yet. This GMU is also used in the star recipe, in fact. Oh, bronze nugget. We can't make these, apparently. Yeah, you may also notice for the Wither's Compass, we need 3 of these things. Was it just 3? Yeah, I guess it is 3 per star. But this also allows the user to defy gravity. Somehow. I think we somehow attach this to our body armor. And apparently that is done with the modification station. And now I think we can just add the unit here and apply it to our chest piece. Aha, we have full creative flight now. That's so much better than the jetpack. I was getting really tired of this thing. Oh, apparently this thing is unenchantable. I had no idea, okay. There's a handful of other useful augments that we can add to this, such as the hydraulic propulsion unit allows the user to step and jump higher. I definitely want me one of those. The solar recharging unit. We have wireless charging, but I mean, why not? Use the power of the sun, right? The solar recharging unit is also used in the star recipe. In fact, it's used twice. One for the Nexium emitter and one for the improbable probability device. That is some tongue twisters right there. Let's see, what else can we add here? Gyroscopic stabilization unit. Oh, there's also a toggle in the UI here. That is pretty cool. We can configure exactly how much jump boost we want, right? Oh, it's just on or off. What's the point of the slider? Alright, anyways, let us get down to business today. So I've pinned out all of the 14 unique items we need for the star. We have the Patrick stars on autocraft, so we can remove this one. We also can make all of the dragon souls. Well, actually, these do take the empty soul gems, which are not automated. And we only have 12, since before we were only accounted for 12 stars. But we can effectively take this off our list. I'll take care of that one. Nether star blocks, we can also take off the list. Mystical agriculture creative essence, we should be able to take off the list. Although I'm not sure how AE will handle the master infusion crystal, or if we even have a spare one. I think the other one is in the crafter. Yeah, let's make another one. Okay, are we missing anything for creative essence? Insanium gemstone. This is probably a big rabbit hole of gemstones. Actually, it's not too bad. Just prosperity and insanium. Our insanium supply is 11,000, where we don't have to worry about that ever. In fact, we could probably turn off our farm. Yeah, you know what? I might just do that. Just to save the TPS. Yeah, a few more recipes. Now we can craft creative essence. Take that off the list. The dimensional seed is another item we need. The compressed blocks we're making in our block factory here, and by the looks of it, we do have 18 4x compressed of every block. Besides the emeralds, we're actually missing 12 blocks of 4x compressed. We'll save that for another time though. I don't feel like dealing with more 7 right now. So we'll add the recipe for the dimensional seed and we'll call it good. We can make a few of these at least. Then we have the 2 Botania runes. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. We can make the runes, we have the input items, but the altar automation here has a small flaw, which I noticed when we were fighting the Guardian of Gaia. Oh yeah, this is our flaw right here. There is basically 2 different recipes being dropped all at once. We have blocking mode on the pattern providers, which should only drop 1 at a time, but if we try to craft one of the tier 2 runes, and one of the runes is in this one, and also this one at the same time, it's going to drop every single item. And when that happens, we get conflicting recipes on the altar, and it blocks up everything, meaning that we need to manually reset it. So let's make sure we address this problem. The easiest way is just to add another runic altar setup. We could have done some fancy integrated dynamics NBT reading again, but honestly we can just separate them out and it's going to be just fine with this, as long as we enable blocking mode on both patterns. We got them set up in exactly the same way with the Wonder of the Forest and the dispenser below. All we need to do is actually make sure we give an extra mana spreader right here. The runic altars of course can't take any spark input for mana. So we're just going to move it over to the side of the mana pool right here, since it can also pull from the sides or on top. So this one can just point to the first one, and this one to the second. And the last thing is to replace the vacuumulator, which I think we can actually put just below here. Oh, and the filter got reset on the vacuumulator. Oh, that's unfortunate. However, once we take care of that, we should be able to request both of these runes. And that's also 2 more major items off our list. Up next is the unobtainium allthemodium alloy, which we do of course have fully automated here at the smeltery. Since we set this up, I also added in a little ender chest down here. That's connected up to this machine corridor here and given a pattern provider, which basically just allows us to encode some AE recipes and request this directly from our system. Also another item off our list. Next up is this probability device, which means we need the eternal obsidian skull. And for this recipe, we need more eternal stellas. You may remember the Hephaestus forge? Oh my goodness, that word. This thing, which means we need stellarite. I guess 18 pieces is what we need. I first of all headed into the other dimension, which is where we got all the previous stellarite. Had some fun with the EFLNs and messing around with the mobs a bit, but I didn't have much luck there, honestly. And I ended up going through quite a lot of EFLNs, so I decided to try my luck in the Twilight Forest. We can also find the stellarite here underground, but still was not able to find anything. So we need to try a different strategy, and I think that is going to be with the digital miner. We should be able to digitally mine the Twilight Forest, we just can't digitally mine the other dimension. Something about it being blacklisted, I think. Yeah, so I believe this ore is found pretty much anywhere underground. It's quite rare though, so we need to make sure we set some filters. Oh, and give this thing RF, we can do that with a flux point. And we're just going to use the mod ID filter, so anything from Forbidden and Arcanus should be mined and whitelisted to be pulled by this thing. Apparently it's found 7. We also need these X-petrified orbs, but we have a decent amount already, so it's really only the stellarite pieces we need. Oh, it's going to grab us arcane crystals. We definitely don't. Oh, we got one. Yeah, we definitely don't need these. These are just going to be trashed. Does this take speed upgrades? I imagine it does. Yeah, it looks like it does. Okay. So I continued searching through the Twilight Forest with our digital miner, making quick work of the stellarite, until eventually we just had one left to get. We're at 17, man. This last one is taking a little while. Come on, where are you? Oh, we got it. Awesome. Yeah, look at how many X-petrified orbs we got. Definitely don't need this many. But since we now have all the stellarite, we might as well make all the gems we need from the forge. Assuming we've got all the fuel materials for this thing. Oh, we actually don't. We're missing blood and those Oriole bottles from the potions. Oh man, that's going to be tedious. Okay, I'm going to do it. Get it out of the way. At least we have the potions on autocraft for the bottles here. And the blood here, maybe we can get from bees. I mean, I hate to do this. They're going to poison us, but maybe we can get it. You saw absolutely nothing. Alright, let's have a little chat about numbers. It seems I don't know how to work numbers. And I also made several assumptions, which I have since learned are not actually true. So I kept floating the number of 18 all the mod stars, right? Well, I was counting on the fact that we would make the Star AB, which you can acquire if you give an ATMstar to the Patrick bee, and then with the Star AB you can feed it the ATMstar block as its flower, and the combs that the bee gives you will give you the ATMstar shard. Being the genius that I am, I foolishly assumed that you could turn shards into ATM stars, acting a bit like nuggets to ingots. I could have sworn that recipe existed, but apparently not. The shards can only be used for the super worm and the creative flux efficiency. I'm not gonna lie, I feel it a little bit silly. In fact, more than a little bit, a big bit. A very big bit silly. So we have some numbers to decide on and what we actually want to do to consider this series completed. The creative chapter only wants us to make 1 ATM star and 4 creative items. The mana pool, the mana tablet, the creative motor, and the blaze cake. However, there are actually 14 different creative items. Yeah, there's a bunch of energy cell recipes here with the energizing orb from various mods, and there's also pneumatic craft creatives, which is a bit strange since there's no pneumatic craft requirement for the actual star. But let us say we want to go for all the creatives. In that case, we need 13 ATM stars. I really would like your feedback in the comment section on what we should do. The star AB, I mean, it's not a creative item, it's not in the quest book. There's not really anything we can do with it other than make ATM star shards, which are completely useless, right? They're like, it makes 2 creative items, but we can just make an extra star and use it in the crusher to make 5-star shards, which is why we need the 13 stars and not just 12. So yeah, new game plan. 13 stars is what we're going to aim for, unless you guys overwhelmingly vote otherwise. Anyways, I did gather the rest of the things for the forge and craft up all of the eternal stellas, which means we just need to combine them with obsidian skulls, and that requires skeleton skulls. We don't have any sort of skeleton farm set up, so the easiest way to get the skulls actually is just to use alchemistry. We can dissolve some white dye for hydroxylapatite, and then just use that in the combiner for skeleton skulls. Finally, we can make the obsidian skulls, and then craft with the eternal stella for eternal obsidian skulls. I also did make the missing occultism soul gem, and encoded a few more of the recipes we were missing. And one of the things I noticed is we were going to be short around 50,000 ender pearls. So I used our existing mob farm and converted one of the spawners to enderman. The fact that we are using looting on the mob crusher means that we should make up the 50k in no time. Alright everyone, so it's been a few hours for me, probably more than a few. We have a lot more enrichment chambers here making gold. They're not completely saturated yet, but I did more or less copy the igneous extruder setup that we had. Even though it's 4 less stars, the netherite requirement is still absolutely huge. Anyways, I think it's time we take a break from just chasing resources, and we try to get our hands on some new ones. Yeah, we're going to have to increase our unobtainium supply. But this one right here, the Glyph of Wither, I mentioned it right at the beginning of the episode. This is from a mod called Ars Nouveau. Truthfully, I've never played with the Ars Nouveau mod, so I just spent the last 30 minutes or so experimenting with some of this stuff. I think I got a basic understanding of the mod now. One of the main materials we need for this mod is source gems. We got the initial stockpile from the end dimension from raiding all those end city ships, but we can also craft it in the imbuement chamber. It's pretty slow without source. Source is basically the mod's power system, and right now we don't have any way to generate source. We're gonna have to figure that out, but there's also the enchanting apparatus. I think we'll need this later on. One of the items we needed to craft the imbuement chamber was archwood, and we can actually get archwood in the Twilight Forest. Oh, and our source gem just finished. Yeah, it's kinda slow unless you power this thing, which I guess is gonna be our next step. So I've got the notebook here. What we need to do is figure out how to make tier 3 glyphs. However, tier 3 glyphs must be made with the Archmage's spellbook. So how do we get the Archmage's spellbook? Well, we first have to start as a novice. We can easily upgrade this to tier 2, just with some vanilla materials. To upgrade the book to the Archmage version, we do need a Wilden Tribute, which means we need to fight a boss, and the market here is going to help us out. Turns out we can also get the Archwood from here, and the Vexing Archwood specifically is the one we're after. Thank you, market. Yeah, so we need to grow and farm these trees. Maybe it's 2x2? Aha, there we go. Now that we got this archwood, we can craft the Tablet of Summon Wilden. And this has to go in some sort of ritual brazier, I think it is. Yeah, it's the ritual brazier here. We're in the Twilight Forest. We also need a Wilden Wing, a Wilden Horn, and a Wilden Spike, which I think we can just throw onto the brazier. Awaiting activation. Oh, do we need a flint and steel? Is that what it is? No. The spellbook? Oh, just right click. Okay, fair enough. We should get our sword out. I've got a bow here as well in our backpack. I don't suspect this guy's going to give us any trouble, especially with our mecha suit in flight, although I'm curious to see what he actually does. Oh, yeah, that could be dangerous early game, for sure. Oh, projectile attacks. That's pretty cool. Alright, let's just go for the melee kill. There we go. Job done. And we got our tablet? Or the tribute? Yes, we did. Awesome. So now we can grab the Archmage spellbook, which allows for the tier 3 spells and glyphs to be cast. Although thinking about it, we might not actually even need to cast this glyph since we're just using it in a crafting recipe. But the Archmage spellbook we do need for the creative version later on. Anyways, the glyphs, we do need a scribe's table, according to JEI. Yeah, scribe's table, we have wither skeleton skulls. We also need abjuration essence. To get this essence, we do need a way of generating source to craft it. So just next to where we have occultism, I expanded out the platform and built us a small area for Ars Nouveau source generation. Alright, so there's a few different options we have for generating source. The one we're going to go for is the volcanic source link. You can think of this like the Endoflame from Botania. It just takes any sort of burnable fuel, and I believe it deposits inside a source jar, which is just basically a tank for source underneath. So all we have to do is figure out a way to drop coal for this thing, and eventually it's going to fill the source jar below it. Well, it actually turned out quite a bit more simple than what I thought it would be. I mean, I hope it works, I haven't fully tested it yet. But we do also need a way to get milk buckets. And we have this cow here from last episode, right? So I've got an animal rancher back here from Industrial Foregoing. You just have to give this power and it will automatically milk the cow. All we need is a fluid pipe underneath from the animal rancher. That's going to go into a tank. We'll put a storage bus on this, on extract only, and plug it in. Very good. We should now see milk in our system as a fluid. This thing is so fast. It's unbelievable. How can a cow produce that much milk? I don't know. Then over where we make lava here, we have 2 spouts which are supposed to make lava buckets. But we don't really need 2 of these making lava buckets. I don't really use that too often unless I'm setting up more igneous extruders. So the second one here, we have milk coming from an interface, along with a processing pattern, empty bucket equals 1 filled milk bucket. And this allows us to craft milk buckets on request. Aha. We do also need these for one of the Botania runes. I think it's the Rune of Winter, which takes cakes. And we don't quite have enough for all the stars we need. And this imbuement chamber works just as we expected it to. Although one surprise I didn't expect was the input items on the pedestals aren't actually consumed, which is very nice to know. But yeah, we're getting abjuration essence. Now all we need to do is figure out how to craft this into the Glyph of Wither. Oh, it's working! Oh, finally! The Glyph of Wither! Oh, I've tried so many things to get this to craft. This is exactly what we want. Still, apparently we haven't unlocked it. I don't know what that means, but I think it works in the recipe for the Wither Compass. Turns out we need spell parchment. The input items can go in a nearby chest, and then we select with our spellbook which glyph we want to craft. We want the Wither glyph. It's going to do this fancy animation. That is so awesome. So yeah, we need 13, so 10 more of these glyphs. I suppose since we need to select with the spellbook, it probably is required to get the Archmage spellbook, right? Okay, so I made the rest of the glyphs we need, and I kind of like this suit that we crafted actually, it's kind of grown on me. Anyways, it's time for another little recap. Now that we got our Glyph of Wither and the gravitational modulating units, we can craft the Wither's Compass. I did notice a very small flaw with our potion brewer actually though. The charms that we need for the compass is actually Wither 2 potions, and we're only crafting Wither 1 potions here. So I just made sure that we were also given glowstone to this potion brewer, which should turn all the Wither 1 potions into Wither 2s. And also means we can take the Wither's Compass off our list. The next item here, the Nexium Emitter, we can also add a recipe for this. We use the solar recharging unit we crafted earlier on. Singularities we already have automated in the matter condenser. EV solar panels, we dedicated more or less a full episode to being able to craft these things. And we have our whole FDB IC room here, including our antimatter production, which also means we can remove the Nexium Emitter. Next one is the Improbable Probability Device. And similarly, we can also remove this one since we now have the Eternal Obsidian Skulls. It's a similar situation with the Charm of Knowledge. These require Charm of Knowledge 2s. I realised this earlier and actually just brewed them manually. We also need Enderium for this, which we do have automated. And the Enderium is actually why we needed the extra pearls. More solar recharging units, the FDBIC nuke, which of course we can make. And that is one more item off our list here. The Philosopher's Fuel is the next one. We can add recipes for this. In fact, I've already added all the recipes here. This is the bulk of the uranium cost, the 5x compressed. There's also a bunch of Supremium furnaces here which go all the way down. It's just crafted from essence. Insanium coal, the quad uranium fuel rods, which is also used in the nuke. And also red matter, which is just some unobtainium. And that is Philosopher's Fuel off the list. We're getting close here, right? We're getting close. I'm kind of excited, I'm not gonna lie. The pulsating black hole. This is the bulk of the cost for the unobtainium. Another FTB IC nuke, 2 versions of the antimatter, a quantum entangloporter which we've used a few times, the quantum ring is just some basic AE crafting, and these quantum catchers. These things cannot be automated. We have some spawner scrap which we got from the other dimension. We just have to combine with arcane crystal blocks and that will give us the quantum catchers. Which should be everything for this one, right? Pulsating black holes? Off the list. Leaving us with just the Oblivion shards, which is more unobtainium, some dark nether stars, which is just some nether stars and obsidian, and the very last item we don't have, the Snow Queen trophy. Oh no! Did we actually just get one shot there? Oh, you're kidding me. I thought the mecha suit was better than that. Well, I guess we're going back to Terrasteel for the Twilight Forest. Oh my goodness. So the rest of the Twilight progression went pretty smoothly. We are now in the Snow Queen's lair. I think she's around here somewhere. This thing is a lot more difficult to get into though, because these blocks are like impossible to break. Another realization I had last week actually is we're going to have to fight 13 of these Snow Queens. We get the trophy from defeating the Snow Queen, and if it's consumed in the craft, which I'm assuming it is, then yeah, we need to find 12 more Snow Queens. One shot. Well, at least we one-shot her. There it is the trophy. I really hope it's not consumed in the craft. So yeah, there is one more boss in the Twilight Forest, but we don't really need to do that, and we've done it many, many times before on the channel, so I think we're just going to skip it this time round. For now though, I made sure to encode the rest of the recipe for the ATMstar. We're going to find out if this is consumed or not, and then go back for the rest. So this is kind of the moment of truth. Do I have like hours and hours worth of grinding in front of me and to finish this episode or not? Because I really, really would like to get 1 star today. And it looks like the answer is yes. We're missing 988 unobtainium blocks, 11 antimatter, but we don't have the drawer hooked up to our AE system. It looks like we got the uranium available for at least 1 star. Dense energy cell, I think that's NBT data. I think I might have to re-encode the recipe for that. The Snow Queen is still in my inventory, I think. 4 charms of wither. It looks like I missed that recipe there. And we do have enough netherite for at least 1. So it's 2.1 million scrap for 1. How much are we at, just out of curiosity? 4 million? Oh boy. Yeah, I think next episode I really want to make it one of the last, and so I think it's going to be very, very delayed. It's pretty much just going to be me scaling infrastructure, like a lot of the stuff we've already seen before, and yeah, we've got 9 antimatter, so actually we don't even have enough of this. Since we do have enough netherite, although I don't think we'll have enough for all 13 in a reasonable amount of time, so we're definitely going to have to scale this some more, or look at some other means to get netherite. We're going to come back to unobtainium and all the modium. Really, our only solution is just to spam phytogenic insulators. Like, that is probably the best bet. I may end up doubling, quadrupling, quintupling the amount of phytogenic insulators. It's a lot of machines, and the lag is insane with this reactor running. You guys suggested that it was actually the sodium cooling, and I think that is the case. Ever since we built this, our frames have been negative. So yeah, we are so close to being able to get a star. But we need to do some farming. Yeah, a lot of farming. It's been about 3.5 hours since the last cut there. Let me show you all of the improvements around the base to try and increase our rates of production. So I realised that it's not just necessarily about collecting the materials, we actually have to get them crafted and smelted, right? So I added a bunch more vibranium furnaces here, which is just passively smelting gold. We can increase the rates and probably get more furnaces, but they are extremely laggy, so I don't want to go too overboard. We can get like over 2 million gold every 10 minutes, which is perfectly fine. And then I think we'll switch it out to burning uranium. We actually have all the gold dust now for all 13 stars, with all these enriching factories and the sieves upstairs. So we can probably start to turn these guys off and start voiding all the gold. We also now have almost 4 times as many phytogenic insulators, making us unobtainium. I removed the crafters from this room and instead send them all into the ender chest, and they're now crafted in one central location, here. We get something like a couple of nuggets every second. It is still not enough though. So I also wanted to expand the hydroponic beds, which also means we need more magical soil. I fought the Guardian of Gaia a bunch of times and was only able to get one seed for one more soil, so that's completely not viable at all. And just to be thorough, I did test the mob crusher. It doesn't work, it doesn't give you anything. We also still have to be concerned about netherite, so I switched the Inferium farm out to netherite. I think I still have to craft a few more seeds. There's quite a lot of empty farmland here, but they are much cheaper than the unobtainium. That goes into an ender chest and gets crafted over here, next to unobtainium. And now that we have passive gold, there's also an extra crafter right here, making us netherite ingots. When we're dealing with millions, we don't want to rely on doing this all on demand, so it's good to have this passive. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we can get it today. We are still like 9,000 in the hole, 8,700 in the hole. One of you guys actually mentioned that you can duplicate seeds with Ars Nouveau using these Whirler Sprigs. I tried a whole bunch of different stuff here trying to get him to farm this unobtainium seed, but he doesn't want to farm anything. I don't really know exactly what I'm doing wrong here. I'm going to investigate this for sure, because if we can get seeds by not investing any unobtainium, it costs 4 blocks per seed, then that will definitely speed us up here. It's pretty expensive to make the seeds still. There is some good news though. Let me give you some good news. One of the creative items we can make, and is probably something we'll rush, is the flux efficiency. If we give this to a phytogenic insulator, watch how fast this goes. I think it's going to be after this operation. Look at this. That right there is how we're going to get the rest of the unobtainium after we get our first star. But yeah, we are going to wrap up the episode here. I want to just thank you guys for all of the support you've shown on this series. It's been amazing. And welcome to all the new subscribers, by the way. It feels like it was just yesterday we hit our first 100 or first 1,000. Oh man, it's been a journey for sure. And there's plenty more to come as well. After this series finishes, I'm definitely taking suggestions. Nothing has been set in stone. I've had a lot of questions on what's coming next. I also realized these were not symmetrical. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, it would have been nice to get a star today. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. But look out for next episode. As I mentioned, it will probably be quite delayed. It's not going to be the regular schedule. In fact, it might take me a week to get all this stuff done. But we're not giving up. Can't wear me out, right? But I'm pretty much just going to be here scaling infrastructure all day long. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode.